King Charles I. Kristen Chase. King Charles I was born on November 19th, 1600. Within 5 days he was made the Duke of Albany. In January of 1605, 5 years later, he was then also made the Duke of York. On November 6, 1612, his brother King Henry passed away. Charles was then heir to the throne after his father's death in 1625. He reigned for 24 years until his death on January 30th, 1649. King Charles I was known for having absolute monarchy. Absolute monarchy is a form of government where a single ruler, typically called a king or queen, has complete control over all parts of the government. His or her power is not limited by a constitution or by the law. In an absolute monarchy, the transmission of power is hereditary, pretty much meaning that King Charles makes his own rules and passes down his family's beliefs instead of divine right. Another belief king and queens believe in is divine right. A monarch is not subject to any rule on earth, and his right to rule comes directly from God. The king is not a subject to the will of his people, the aristocracy, and in some cases the church. Any attempt to depose the king or restrict his powers is going against the will of God. King Charles was more of an absolute monarchy kind of man. He did believe in divine right, however, he never actually followed through with it. In 1628, the Petition of Right was passed, which prohibited the king from infringing on specific liberties of the people. The king could not imprison subjects without due causes, not levy taxes without Parliament's consent, house soldiers in private homes, or impose martial laws in peacetime. In 1629, a year later, he violated the Petition of Right by imposing money taxes on English people. At this point, he is the monarch in an absolute monarchy, but because his popularity was so low, he would not stay in a position of power for very long. Again in 1637, Charles tried to force the Scottish to accept the Anglican prayer book. He wanted the English and the Scottish to follow this same religion. The Scottish rebelled and the king's power would never come back. A civil war began in 1648. Eventually, Charles I was accused of tyranny against the people and beheaded on January 30th, 1649. Through the reign of Charles I, Europe became challenged to rethink the role of absolute power through the institution of the monarchy. And that was the end to King Charles' reign.